Welcome to the last lap of the journey this morning. Aliko Dangote has revealed that Nigerians are currently paying just 55% of what other West African countries are paying on petrol, thanks to the operations of the Dangote Refinery. Petrol prices at the facility range between 815 naira and 820 naira per litre, compared to the regional average of 1,600 naira. The industrialist made this known during a tour of the refinery by ECOWAS Commission President Dr. Omar Touray. Dangote also highlighted how the refinery's diesel production caused a significant drop in prices from 1,700 naira to 1,100 naira, easing pressure on key sectors like agriculture, mining, and manufacturing. He stressed that local refining is already driving affordability and energy security and also job creation in Nigeria. Responding to critics, he affirmed the refinery capacity to meet national demand and supply West Africa. Dangote urged African leaders to stop relying on imports, insisting that the continent can build a scale and compete globally. He hinted that even bigger initiatives are in the pipeline. Our guest this morning is an energy expert, Mr. Nick Agule. Good morning and welcome to the program, Mr. Agule.
Good morning, Mr. Yamgo, and good morning to our viewers globally.
Yeah, well, Dangote has just blown his own trumpet, how he's helping Nigerians and compared to other West African countries. And sometimes it confuses me when we say we are doing so well because we are comparing ourselves to other countries. Do we have the justification to do that, being that we are an oil-producing country ourselves?
Thank you very much. There are several levels at which we can analyze this. The very first is that there is something called purchasing power parity. You look at the purchasing power of an economy vis-a-vis the prices of goods and services in that economy. And if you just look at the prices without taking cognizance of the incomes, then you are doing half analysis. Your analysis is faulty ab initio. How do I mean? Like here in the UK, where I'm speaking to you from, yesterday I was out and a price per litre of petrol was approximately £1.40. And we know that £1 is about 2,000 naira, slightly more than 2,000 naira in Nigeria. If you add the 40p to it, you will now realize that the price of petrol per litre is almost 3,000 naira. Okay? So if you look at the 3,000 naira vis-a-vis about the 1,000 naira that Nigerians are paying at the pump, you can quickly come to the conclusion that, oh, Nigerians are buying petrol so cheap, because in the UK it is being sold at 3,000 naira equivalent, and here in Nigeria they are buying it at 1,000. That is a totally faulty analysis, and I'm surprised that someone of Dangote's caliber can make that analysis. The reason is this: yes, the price is there. That is one half. You must look at the other half. How much are people earning in the UK? So I can give you an example. My daughter is a primary school teacher. In fact, she just left for work this morning. She's earning £3,000 per month. So if you look at £3,000, assuming she has a car of 100 litres, she can fuel that car, assuming petrol in UK now is £1.40. She can fuel her car with £140, right? With £140, she will fuel her car. But her salary is £3,000. So she only used 5% of her salary to fill a tank of petrol. Let's now go to Nigeria. Petrol is about 1,000 naira. Minimum wage is 70,000. If you turn all your minimum wage, 100% of your minimum wage to buy petrol, you only get 70 litres. You will not even get the 100 litres that we're talking about. So it now shows that the Nigerian worker is hard done by His money is not going far enough. My daughter can do 20 full tanks of petrol with her salary. And a Nigerian worker cannot even do 1 tank of petrol with minimum wage. Even if the Nigerian worker is earning 200,000, that is only 200 liters that they can get of petrol. And Nyambu, you know very well that a vast majority of Nigerians are not seeing 200,000 naira per day. So that is one side of the argument. The second side of the argument is what you have rightly touched upon. Because we are an oil producing nation, petrol is expected to sell for cheaper in Nigeria. Why? In other countries that don't have crude oil, they must come to a place like Nigeria and buy petroleum, buy crude oil. And then they take the crude oil to their refinery before they refine and before they market. If you add the logistics costs and all of that, there's no way we will not buy petrol cheaper. It's like people in Benue State, as we speak today, they are buying yams cheaper than people in Lagos. Say that's it. Because they produce the yam in Benue and the transportation cost is not added, and because of the supply of yam is more plentiful in Lagos, in Benue that is in Lagos, that is why they will buy yam for cheaper in Benue, and nobody is talking about that. So for me, Dangote coming out to make this kind of statement smacks of, I like Dangote. I like the fact that he took the risk to remove shame from us by investing $20 billion to build this refinery for us. But he shouldn't be making statements that seem to justify the poverty that we are facing in Nigeria now. I don't know whether it occurs to Dangote that majority of Nigerians are unable to transport themselves to work. There are people who are now sleeping in their offices Monday to Friday. They find a place and lie down in their office and only go home on weekend, because if they go home every day after work, then their salary will not be able to fund their transportation costs. I don't know if Dangote is aware of all of these things. And that aside, I'm also very angry with President Tinubu. 2 years on in his office, he has allowed Dangote Refinery to be the only major supplier of petroleum products in Nigeria. So with that competition, and Dangote being a businessman, if we think that Dangote is going to give us fair pricing for his petroleum products, we are joking. He's a businessman. If he sees an opportunity, he will cash in on it. And there is a huge opportunity for him now, because for 200 million people, Dangote Refinery is the only refiner in Nigeria now that can supply them petroleum products. So if Dangote Refinery can sell petrol to us at 600 naira as it stands today, given the price of crude oil in the market, he will still not sell it. He will still sell it for 800. Why? There's nothing compelling him to sell it at that 600. The only thing that would have compelled him to sell it at that 600 is if Nigeria's 4 refineries with a combined capacity of 445,000 barrels were brought on stream by President Tinubu. Yeah. If those refineries were pushing products into the market, Dangote will be forced to cut down his prices so that he can have a share of the market. And the reason why President Tinubu hasn't taken even the first step of taking these refineries from the NNPCL, who have shown incapacity and incompetence to run them over the years, and hand them over to competent, well-capitalized private sector operators, so that by now Nigerians will be feeling succor from petroleum product cost, is inexplicable to me. I don't know why President Tinubu hasn't done it. Because see, the problem with petroleum product cost is that I was talking about transportation cost. But because Nigeria is still generating and supplying only 5,000 megawatts of electricity, a huge quantum of petroleum products are used in electricity generating sets. And that also increases costs at a different level. So whichever way you look at it, Nigerians are basically being thrown under the bus, under the weight of high petroleum product cost.
Tinubu came on stream and he left the Mele Kyari and his team for a very long time, and only just recently sacked him. And the new sheriff in town came, and a few months into his tenure, he has shut down the Port Harcourt refinery that was said to be in operations, even though a lot of people were saying that it was just false. Now he shut it down for renovation, and I still do not understand what they are renovating in a refinery that just reopened after renovation. I don't know what is happening right there in that, but nobody seems to be saying anything. The president is quiet about it. He seems to be very comfortable that this is happening. What renovation is there to take place in Port Harcourt refinery, and every other refinery is not even just functioning. But to be fair to Dangote, and I think you've mentioned it as well, the problem of this country is not his fault. Now, what could the government have done differently that his theory could have been a credible one?
Right, so many things that this government could have done to make Dangote's theory to be a different one. And so first and foremost, if Dangote says Nigerians are buying petrol cheaper than other people abroad, I just gave a very graphical example of how, yes, petrol costs 3,000 naira in the UK, but yet the UK worker is far better off than the Nigerian worker. So I've given that. So what could the government have done differently? Only two things. It's either the government would have caused a fall in the price of petroleum products, or government could have increased workers' wages so that workers don't have to turn over 100% of their pay and yet are unable to fill a tank of petrol. And by the way, let me, for the clarity of those who are watching us, when I say tank of petrol, I said this somewhere on social media, and a young man came on and said, well, he doesn't own a car, so he doesn't care, about putting petrol in his car. You see, he was totally ignorant and oblivious of the fact that if I'm talking about filling a tank of car, I'm not referring only to those who own cars. Because if you don't own a car, you are going to pay transport fare to someone who owns a car.
Yeah.
So that's how it impacts on you, right? It's an analogy for you to understand how poor the Nigerian worker is, that he can't use his minimum wage and fill a tank of petrol. So back to the point. It's either the price of petroleum products comes down drastically, or workers' wages goes up drastically, or even both. Anything outside that, the Nigerian worker is going to be hard done by, as it is today. And I have already provided one way President Tinubu can bring down the product cost of petroleum products, and that is taking Nigeria's full refineries and giving them to people who can run them for us. The NNPCA made it look as if refining is rocket science, and Dangote has just demystified that, right? Dangote has set up a refinery, and since he started, we have not heard that the refinery has gone down, right? So Dangote has proven that you can run a refinery successfully for, I think Dangote came on stream, was it not 2023? His first product, was it last year, 2024? I can't remember. But Dangote is almost a year, if not already a year, in operations, and we have never heard of a shutdown. Yes, it's a new refinery, but we have never heard of a shutdown. The Port Harcourt refinery that you referenced, if they refurbished it, then normally when you refurbish a refinery, you bring it to a state that is almost like new. If that refinery were working, the NNPCA didn't need to tell us the refinery was working. We could have been seeing the products coming off from that refinery awash in the market. You see, nobody is telling us Dangote Refinery is working, because Dangote Refinery is pushing products into the market. So let's be honest, Nyamgo. All of the group managing directors of the NNPCA have been embroiled in one corruption case or the other. The other one is the one that kept about $19 million in cash in his house in Kaduna. I can't remember his name now. This immediate one that just left, Mele Kyari, and his entire executive team, immediately they left office, they were picked up by the EFCC, accused of one corruption or the other. If the EFCC did not have a prima facie case against them, they won't go to the extent of arresting them and making them
But why did they wait till they were removed from office? They don't have immunity. Why did they not speak up when they were still in office? It just beats me. Why would they leave them to leave office before they arrest them? Are they governors? Are they presidents? It doesn't make any sense to me. But my concern, quickly, before...
Just 30 seconds, let me make that point. I totally agree with you that they could have swooped in on these guys whilst they were in office to minimize the extent to which they will engage in this corruption. But the point I was actually trying to land, Nyambu, is that we see public officers ruin Nigeria, ruin whatever they've been handed over to do, and enrich themselves. And we keep hoping as Nigerians that the public service is the one that is going to deliver for us. That hope will be there until we all die and pass away. The best thing for us is take our assets from these public officers and hand them over to the private sector. Yes, they will make profits, but who we have the services and the goods and services to use, just like in telecom. Nigerians are holding their phones in their hands as we speak today. When it was government, the public service doing litre for us, who had phones? Only big men had phones. And Nigerians see this thing glaringly, and yet we believe that the public service is the one that will deliver for us. Nyamgo.
But I do not know. Aviation, for instance, is in private hands. We don't have a Nigerian carrier anymore, and their prices, it seems as if they have this meeting that they decide what to do to us, and then they just go ahead and do it. Their prices are not coming down. That is in the private hands. Even the telecoms that you're talking about now, almost every 6 months, they want to capitalize on whatever is happening in the country and to add tariffs. Some of them, they do not even announce them, and they're just... We are heading back towards that time where to subscribe or buy airtime is going to be only for the rich. Maybe you'll just keep your phone there and be receiving calls anytime that anybody who is rich enough can load their phones and then call you. So I don't even know. There don't seem to be any regulation to what people can or cannot do in the business sector in Nigeria. Because anytime you talk about that, it will be like, okay, you cannot decide what I do as a private business and all that. But there should be some sort of regulation. Quickly, before we go.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you that the solution is in a regulatory regime that is strong, that is efficient, that have its eyes on what the industry is doing. That is the reason they are there. And every sector of the Nigerian economy has a regulator. So like the telecoms we're talking about, the regulator, of course, is the Nigerian Communication Commission. Dangote that we're talking about, the regulator, of course, is the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority. And of course, we have the Consumer Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Council.
Well, they're not doing enough.
Standard Organization of Nigeria. We have all these government agencies. So it's for us Nigerians to ask them to stand up and do their work. They can't be sitting down in their offices idle and watching businesses run roughshod on us with high prices. So that's really the issue. And like a regulator must always ensure that there's competition. Any form of collusion by operators becomes a criminal offense to be tried for the executives of that. So that the regulatory regime needs to be strengthened. And I agree with you on that.
Okay, well, that's the much we can go, Mr. Gule. Thank you so much for coming on the show this morning.
Thank you, and good morning to our viewers.
We've been talking to Mr. Nick Agule, an energy expert, and we're looking at what Dangote was telling the ECOWAS leaders, that Nigerians are buying only 55% the price of fuel that is obtainable in other West African countries. And we're looking at whether that statement was justifiable or not. And that's what Nick Agule was trying to tell us this morning. Well, this is the much we can take on the show this morning. We're inviting you back tomorrow for another edition of The Breakfast. My name is Nyamgul Agaji. Bye for now.